So when we say something is sustainable, we mean that it is used in a way that won't deplete natural resources. So sustainability is using processes and means that do not deplete our natural resources. It means meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their needs. So in this period, you're going to discuss how sustainable development is different from sustainable growth, how economic sustainability is different from social sustainability and environmental sustainability. And we're also going to discuss how you can switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy and what our role uh, is in sustainability. So, sustainable growth is um, economic, while sustainability uh, is a concept on its own. So, sustainable development is linked to economic growth. However, sustainability is qualitative, while growth is quantitative. Sustainable development is um, consistent with economic growth. So when um, we say that sustainability is qualitative, it looks at the content of the growth, whether it reflects the broad principles of sustainability and non-exploitation of others. Sustainable growth is how incomes keep increasing indefinitely. And these two concepts might contradict one another because sustainable growth might not necessarily be sustainable because you are growing indefinitely without considering that the resources that you have are finite and you might exceed your constraints. So the current indicators that we use to measure sustainable growth are very short term. They're like, how have employees been paid on a weekly or monthly basis? Has interest been paid on a half year basis? Have increased profits been reported at the end of the year? It is it is a monetary system, a money system that is based on debt and repaying that debt within a short time. And this kind of mindset and this kind of system limits our priorities and makes us think of the short term. And uh, we need economic growth because we have needs that can only be met economically. Um, Governments need investment and employment, uh, and they encourage economic growth regardless of any social or environmental damage the growth process may be causing. So the only two things the main things that the government is concerned about is maintaining money supply and maintaining employment. So if there's economic growth, the government is okay. So the current system that we have is cyclic, where banks give loans to farms, and that's how money enters into circulation. And then farms invest in projects that will give them profits and returns, and then they will use that profit to pay interest to the banks. and they will use some of that money to create employment and pay salaries, and then the employees will use their salaries to buy consumer goods, and then that goes to farms, and then the money goes to banks. So it is a cyclic system that starts with loans, with debt that is used to drive investment, and then uh, creating profits and returns that are invested back to pay these interests. So that's why we do not measure economic growth using sustainable indicators. And these sustainable indicators are such as, have we prevented social decline? Have we halted climate change? Have we maintained our capital equipment, buildings, and infrastructure in good condition? Have we maintained and promoted health and well-being? Have we preserved and passed on knowledge and skills? Have we strengthened social structures such as families, friendships, and neighborhoods? And that's the new paradigm that we are entering, that we should be thinking about. We should be thinking about social and environmental impact that we are creating, not only the profits and the returns that we're making as businesses. So we should not look for economic growth regardless of social or environmental damage. Uh, and that's the problem, that we are focusing on economic sustainability alone and ignoring social and environmental stability. So the two kinds of sustainability. There is economic sustainability, and then there's social and environmental sustainability. They're different because they fall under very different systems. Society and environment are natural systems. That means that they work how they were designed to work. They were designed by God, and you know, they have immutable and consistent laws, and we can't change those laws, you know. But for the economy, we created the economy. We we created the economy, and it works the way that we designed it to work. Okay, some maybe not in all cases, but it is supposed to work exactly how we design it to work. And the we have control over the economy. We can change the inputs, the processes, and that will create the results that we want. The economy is an emergent system, and how efficient it is depends on initial conditions, and that those initial conditions were set in the past. We cannot change the initial conditions of the economy, but we can change the quantity and quality of input, and we can change um, or tweak the medium used in interaction, which is money, and we can also change the relationship of actors in the system. So the economy is um, uh, it is very reflexive. It falls under either under two extremes. So it oscillates between two endpoints. So on one endpoint there is slow, steady growth, which is what governments uh, encourage. That is why they focus so much on economic growth. And then on the other side is contraction and depression, and they alternate. So what can we do to create sustainability, either nationwide or personally? So the solutions are advocacy. We know that the government is pleased with the status quo. They The main concern of the government is to maintain money supply and to maintain employment. So if we do not mobilize the government to look into these other issues, such as climate change, loss of fertile soil, dropping water tables, shrinking biodiversity, human population growth, the government is not going to do anything about it unless we create momentum for change. So we have to lobby. We have to be ambassadors of social change and social impact. The second solution is carbon trading, and this is something that um, can help reduce poverty in a big way. Uh, so the carbon trading works in this way. So the government can set a quota for how much emissions, the amount of emissions that can be emitted within a period, let's say a year or 10 years. So they have set a target. This is the maximum amount of carbon footprint that we are going to emit into the atmosphere. So that's the carbon quota, and then the the government can use a predistribution method of uh, uh, creating this carbon trade in a way that they sell the carbon quota to they issue it as like the way they issue shares and securities. So they issue the quotas, the carbon quotas, which are bought by banks and financial institutions. And then the banks and the financial institutions sell the carbon quotas to uh, importers and farms that use fossil fuels. So it's the government selling permit for farms to emit carbon, and they have set a target that they have done research. They know this amount of carbon will not have a very drastic effect on the environment, and we can manage this. So the money that they get from that can be used to uh, create social welfare programs, buy food, hospitals, schools, and can be a win-win situation in that we are making our development sustainable, and we also are dealing with the problem of poverty. The other solution is land value tax. So land value tax will be a site value tax imposed on property. So property, we mean the land, not any other property that is on the land, like buildings, just property on land that is a percentage, a percentage of the value of the land element of the property. So this will encourage investment in energy saving improvements to buildings, services, and settlements, and it will lead to development because uh, if I have land and it is lying dormant, there is nothing going on that land, and I have to pay tax annually. It will force me either to sell the land to developers or to develop something on that land. So it will decrease the price of buying land, and at the same time encourage building improvements and refurbishments and retrofittings to buildings to save money. And the other solution is switching from fossil fuels to renewable energy by using fossil fuel as capital. So we are heading into a very big crisis because the uh, production of oil has peaked, and from now on it is going to decline and decline and decline. This is because the demand for fossil fuel is growing at a very rapid pace compared to the uh, the uh, the amount that is being put out, the production. So production is falling while demand is rising, and this will create a crisis because everything depends on oil, everything. So it will obviously create uh, inflation. The prices of energy will be very high. So the best solution right now is to use energy, the fossil fuel energy that we have right now, that is affordable right now, use it as capital to make renewable energy. Instead of using it as a commodity, we use it as a capital. And you know, um, we can do it. We can do it. The final solution is to change the money system so that the money system will not be controlled by banks, but will be controlled by government. So it will switch from banks loaning money into circulation to government spending money into circulation. And the governments can control inflation and recession very successfully by making grants to vital sectors in the economy to keep, employment and production going. So apart from that, we can use energy sustainably by retrofitting our buildings, transforming our agriculture, redesigning our settlements, containing our population. And we can adopt sustainable habits such as recycling, choosing sustainable goods and services, growing our own food, reducing, reusing, recycling, conserving resources such as water and electricity, using energy efficient appliances, carpooling, or using public transportation more often, planting trees, and finally supporting organizations dedicated to sustainability.